This is a petition to establish the parent-child relationship. This was filed by the Attorney General's office on June 6th of 2022. All parties are present on Zoom today. This is a remote hearing, and I am sitting outside of Galveston County pursuant to the Texas Family Code, Section 201.1045. And I find that no parties have filed any written objections to proceeding in this. Lower your hands. And counsel for the Attorney General's office.
Oliver Listowski for the state.
Okay. And before we begin, there's a few things you need to know. The first is I'm an associate judge. And so if at the end of this, if you don't like my ruling, you can request that the referring court in Galveston hear the case. To do that, you have to put that request in writing and file it with the district clerk's office within 3 days of me signing your order. You then have to coordinate with the referring court in Galveston County to get a hearing date, time, and location. You then have to provide the hearing date, time, and location to all parties in the case. You also have to comply with any requirements of the referring court, typically mediation, possibly discovery, and then you have to appear for the hearing. Also, even though we're all on computers today, this is a hearing and we treat this just like court. So that includes speaking in civil tones, treating one another with respect. We typically take testimony in court. And so usually the Assistant Attorney General will ask each of you questions one at a time. If you're not the person being asked questions, unless you have a legal objection, please don't interrupt the other person or answer for them. You'll both be given a chance to be asked questions, and you'll both also just be given a chance to speak since you don't have attorneys. But just wait till it's your turn and try to avoid back and forth conversations. And then lastly, I know you've had this case with the Attorney General's office for quite some time, and you've negotiated and spoken to them a lot throughout the course of this case. Please know I only know about what's been filed with the court or what gets said during this hearing. I don't get to know about all the negotiations that happened previously in the back or even today. And so if there's something important out there that you think I need to know to make a ruling, please don't assume that Ms. Liskowski is going to tell me it, because she won't, because she can't. So if it's important, please make sure it gets said and gets said before I make my ruling. With all that being said, you may proceed, Ms. Liskowski.
Your Honor, the state would first ask the court to take judicial notice of the temporary order signed by the court back in February of this year.
I'm pulling up the temporary orders. And it appointed the parties joint managing conservators. It looks like a standard possession order. And pickup and drop-offs were at the Target in Dickinson. Cash medical was set at $57 a month beginning March 1st, 2023. Child support, $191 beginning March 1st of 2023. And non-disclosure was granted as to Ms. Holt. So I take judicial notice of that order.
Yes, the parties have come to a limited agreement on the matters of conservatorship, geographic restriction, possession and access, current child support, current medical support, and non-disclosure. Conservatorship, geographic restriction, and possession and access, the parties have agreed will remain as set in the temporary order.
I have a question about that. There was no geographic restriction in the temporary order, but they're meeting at Target.
Okay, lack thereof. Yes, I guess that's what I was referring to. The parties have agreed that the final order will have no geographic restriction.
Okay, I'm going to need to hear testimony on that because especially with them meeting at Target in Dickinson, I have concerns about that, about approving that.
Okay. The parties have agreed that current child support will be set at $325 monthly from Mr. Sherman to Ms. Holt beginning November 1st, 2023. The parties have also agreed that Cash medical support will be spent in the amount of $57 monthly from Mr. Sherman to Ms. Holt beginning November 1st, 2023, with Ms. Holt being ordered to apply for a government health plan for the child. Now, the parties have agreed to continue meeting at Target for the purposes of exchanging the child. The parties have also agreed to keep the non-disclosure meeting from the temporary order in place. That is the extent of the agreement. The state would ask the court to make orders regarding court costs. Ask the court to assess those against Mr. Holt as billed by the Galveston County District Clerk. The state would also ask the court to make a finding of Mr. Sherman's child support and medical support arrears, set a payment, take a judgment on that, set a payment plan on it. And the last and only contested issue is the issue of retroactive child support. The state would first call Ms. Holt. Ms. Holt?
Yes, I'm here.
After Weston was born in July of 2020, was there any period of time where you and Mr. Sherman lived together?
No,
Okay. Between when Weston was born and the temporary order that the court signed back in February of this year, did Mr. Sherman provide you any support for Weston?
no,
Has he provided you any support in the form of cash or supplies that you wish to give him credit for?
yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
What did he provide?
The amount was $900, $931.
Okay. Was that cash?
Direct payments.
You believe that is sufficient support for your child since Weston was born?
Not sufficient, but I would like to give him credit for that.
So, Ms. Holt, are you asking for a retroactive child support judgment based on minimum wage since 2020 since August 2020 until February of 2023
Yes,
with a credit of $931 for Mr. Sherman?
yes, ma'am.
Ms. Holt, is there any family violence between you and Mr. Sherman?
No,
Do you have any safety concerns with having to tell him where you live?
no,
Are you asking the court to make the final order? Are you asking the court to include in the final order language that does not require you to share your contact information with Mr. Sherman?
yes.
If there's no family violence or safety concerns with Mr. Sherman, why are you asking that?
Well, it doesn't have to be put on there. I don't really want to discuss it because I'm not comfortable here with everyone. So I guess
You
y'all
prefer to
can
be in district court, ma'am?
say that one more time.
Would you prefer I refer this to district courts and you could address it before the district judge?
No, this is fine the way it is.
Ms. Oskowski, I thought they'd agreed to that issue.
It was in a,
Said they were keeping the non-disclosure. Was that not an agreement?
right, but with the meeting location, geographic restriction, you said you wanted to hear testimony on that, but
On the geographic restriction, not the non-disclosure issue.
Ms. Holt,
Yes.
do you have any uh, intention of moving outside of the Brazoria County area with the child?
Not at the moment.
Ma'am, do you live in Brazoria or Galveston?
I live in
I'm
Galveston
sorry.
County.
I misspoke, Your Honor.
No worries. I just want to be sure we're in the right place.
Um, Ms. Holt, Ms. Holt, do you feel the need to continue to have to exchange the child in a public place with Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Why?
I mean, we haven't made any exchanges anyway, so I guess none of this really matters because there's been no exchange. But if we have to make exchanges to make everybody comfortable and finding a designated place that's safe and for everyone, then target a public place is fine by me.
Ms. Holt, are you agreeable to having any geographic restriction placed on where you can live with the child?
I'm not understanding the question.
Do you agree to the court placing any restriction, any restriction on the area where you can live with the child? Like right now, there's no geographic restriction. Are you okay with there being a geographic restriction on where you can live with Weston?
No.
So you all know my typical, and I think Galveston County's typical restriction is Galveston and any county that touches Galveston. So you're not being limited to like a neighborhood or anything. It's a pretty big area still. Like it includes Chambers County, it includes Harris County, it includes Brazoria. It includes a lot of places.
Ms. Holt?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That being said, Ms. Holt, would you agree to a geographic restriction that would restrict you and the child living within Galveston, any contiguous county to Galveston?
I don't want to be confined to just Galveston County or surrounding areas. So if I want to move out of state, I want to be able to still do that.
Do you have any immediate plans to do that?
Not right now at this moment, but I don't know where my career is going to take me. I'm in the medical field, so I plan to travel when I can.
Do you have any pending job offers that would require you to move out of state?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Are you applying for any jobs that would require you to move out of state?
Yes, ma'am. Once I finish my trial period, then yes.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Ma'am, do you have any ideas on what states you would be looking at?
Not at the moment. I would have to see once my trial period is up what they have available and where for travel. So I wouldn't know that until that time frame comes, which is about 6 to 9 months from now.
Has Mr. Sherman been visiting?
No.
When was the last time he saw the child?
I don't have an exact day. I'm not sure. It's been a
Do you
while.
have an approximate day? Has it been since the temporary order?
He hasn't seen him since then.
Okay, and that was June of 2022. So it's been over a year since he's seen your child?
I'm really not quite sure. I believe he saw him for Christmas of last year.
Okay. You may continue, Ms. Laskowski.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have any other witnesses?
Yes, the state would call Mr. Sherman.
You may do so.
Mr. Sherman,
Yes, ma'am.
since Weston was born in July of 2020 and up until February of 2023, have you provided Ms. Holt with any support for Weston?
Yes, ma'am.
What have you
I have.
provided?
Anytime she asks me for anything, I'll give it to her. Whether it be money or just going to get things myself.
You have an approximate dollar amount on the support that you have provided Ms. Holt for Weston between August of 2020 and February of 2023?
I don't have an exact amount, but I can at least say it's maybe around $8,000-9,000. I've been giving her money as she's been asking for it. We had came up with a verbal agreement at one time of $400 or $500 a month.
Okay. Do you have any receipts for any of those payments?
I didn't know I was going to need any receipts. I just was doing it because it was my child. I didn't know I was going to have to have any receipts.
Between August of 2020 and February of 2023, employed.
I couldn't hear you. What did you say?
Between August of 2020 and February of 2023, where were you employed?
In 2020, I was employed with Total Safety, and then I got laid off, and I went to school and got my associate's degree.
When did you get laid off in 2020? Before or after Weston was born?
Ma'am, we've lost you. Are you still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, we need to have everyone present on the Zoom. If we're going to proceed with Zoom.
When in 2020 did you get laid off?
It had to be at the end. It was after Weston was born.
Okay. And when you got laid off in 2020, what did you do then for work?
I wasn't working. I was doing a full-time student at San Jack.
And how long were you a full-time student from that point?
2 years.
Okay. When did you go back to work?
I went back to work. I want to say May. I was working for a company called Alliance, and I got laid off.
How long did you work for them?
Maybe 2 or 3 months.
What time?
I had issues getting into certain plants because of my background.
What happened after you got laid off from there?
I just been looking for work.
All right, Your Honor, at this time, the state would offer what's been marked as State's Exhibit 1, a retroactive calculation sheet based on minimum wage for between August of 2020 and February of 2023.
Does any party have any objection to me admitting State's Exhibit 1 into evidence?
No.
Mr. Sherman?
I said no, ma'am.
Okay, I couldn't understand you. Thank you. I'm going to admit State's Exhibit 1.
Mr. Sherman, how many other children do you have under the age of 18?
I have one that lives with me. She's 10 years old.
How long has she lived with you?
Since 2018, when her mother passed.
Is there any family violence between you and Ms. Holt?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any safety concerns with Ms. Holt knowing where you live?
No, and she normally drops Weston off over here and pick money up from over here. So I don't see what the problem was with me having to meet her at Target.
Do you know where she lives now?
No, ma'am.
Are you asking for any sort of geographic restriction on where Ms. Holt can live with Weston?
No, ma'am.
So are you okay with Ms. Holt having the right to move any old place with Weston?
I'd like to at least stay in the state where I can get to him.
Since the time of the temporary order, have you made Ms. Holt any direct payments for child support?
I haven't been able to even get in contact with her since July. She doesn't answer the phone or anything. I don't know where she's staying. I don't know where they are. I've tried to contact her numerous of times and she doesn't answer the phone.
Mr. Sherman, are there any payments since the temporary order for child support that are
No,
not
ma'am.
reflected in this pay record?
I haven't. I know, ma'am. I can't even see that.
Is that any better?
No, ma'am. I can't see that at all.
Any better?
I'm actually doing this on my cell phone, so I don't think you can blow it up enough. You'd have to blow it up about 10 times that size. No, ma'am, I haven't made any payments.
Okay. Have you made any payments that aren't reflected on the pay record? There are some payments reflected here, but do you believe this is an accurate reflection of the child support and medical support obligations under the temporary order from February of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions for Mr. Sherman. Pass the witness.
So, sir, have you visited with the child? When was the last time you saw the child?
In July, no, ma'am. She doesn't answer the phone, text messages, anything.
Okay. So July of 2022?
23.
Okay, 23. And you've been in court numerous times since the temporary order.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you bring up this concern with anyone?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Okay.
I've called down the Dickinson Police Department.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you all ready to finalize this case?
I
Yes.
am. Yes, ma'am.
It sounds like you all have a lot of unresolved issues, even after I finalize this order. The state doesn't represent either of you, so I'm going to give you both a chance to speak. Is there anything else either of you would like to say, Ms. Holtz?
Yes, as far as the payments he's made, I have all the receipts for the payments and the dates of the payments that he's made. And also I have text messages showing where I have responded to him. And if it wasn't in regards to our son, then no, I did not respond. I have messages stating, asking him if he would be able to meet at the location we agreed on to pick him up, and him not being able to. I've invited him to my son's party that we had in July at the water park, and he didn't come or respond to that either. So I haven't blocked him or kept him from speaking with his son or from getting him. And I'm not going to keep reaching out to him when he's a grown adult and he knows when he can't, what weekends he is to get him. And if he doesn't reach out, it's not my job to reach out to him anymore to say, it's your weekend, are you getting him? I've done that and he hasn't came, and I'm not going to keep doing it. And like I said, I do want to give him credit for what he has done, because I won't take that away. And that's $931, which I do have the receipt for.
Did you ever have an agreement, ma'am, that he'd pay you $400 or $500 a month before you came to court? Ma'am, were you able to hear that, or were you frozen?
I said no, ma'am. It must have been frozen.
It was frozen. We couldn't, you didn't move for
Sorry.
a few moments. Okay, so you and him never discussed an amount he would pay you before you came to court?
No.
Okay. Mr. Sherman, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yes, ma'am. I had seen him since July, and the whole birthday party thing. They were supposed to be going to a water park out of the state, and she didn't let me know of the birthday party back in the state until the last minute. And I wasn't going to be able to make it from Dickinson to Baytown in time enough.
Weren't there other visits besides that one?
Yeah, like I say, she had been bringing him over, dropping him off at my house. He was staying the weekend with me. I was picking him up, and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
When was this that it all of a sudden stopped?
Like July
Of what year?
this year, 2023.
Okay, so you're saying after the temporary order was done, you were seeing the child regularly, but she was the one dropping the child off with you.
She's dropping him off at my house, yes, ma'am. Picking him up and dropping him off at my house.
Okay, I have questions about why that was what was happening, but ma'am, were you doing that?
I have only dropped him off maybe twice, and maybe one time it was for a weekend. But as far as that being a consistent thing, no, it's on a whim. So I guess then yes, if my son asked for him, which he did before, but now he doesn't mention him. But again, that was let me see if I can pull that up. That was not a consistent thing. That's happened twice. Okay, so Saturday, July 8th is the last time he saw him. So yes, Saturday, July 8th. I had to go back and read just to make sure that I'm accurate.
Okay, so it sounds like you're all not going to Target. Is there some other visitation you want to set up that would be better for your child?
We both have vehicles, and I mean, Target is a good meeting area for me. If he wants to pick him up any place else, then I'm fine to see, what works best for him. I can hear him out on that. I don't mind changing it.
Because I don't know. As I said, I'm not convinced you all are ready for a final order. But sir, I'm not going to order that she has to pick up and drop off at your house. So is there something that you are willing to step up and do that would have you seeing your child more?
I could pick him up from Target. That's fine. I'm just stating that she had been dropping him off at my house. But I could pick him up at Target. That's completely fine with me.
And then ma'am, do you know where other people in your program have gotten jobs? Like what states or countries are we talking about?
Say that one more time.
You want to be able to move anywhere in the whole world or galaxy. So I'm just trying to get a feel of where people in your program are getting their jobs to see if we can somewhat limit this.
Yes, I know. Well, this is not, technically that far away, but some have went to San Antonio. There was something I was looking at in Phoenix, Arizona, that I would really like to try for. It's not, it wouldn't be a promise, and we have to go through a lot of steps, but Mama, if I get selected for that, then I would really like to go there. Other than that, everything else I believe is pretty much local, and they have a program in Alaska as well. I'm not going to Alaska. So
this is my concern with no geographic restrictions. Like literally, you could go to Alaska, you could go to Spain, you could go, if we figure out how to get to the moon, you could go to the moon. And so it just gets a little unwieldy. So do you have any proof that you ever gave her $400 or $500 at a time?
No, ma'am, I do not.
How did you give it to her? Was it cash app?
Just cash. I have given the money on Cash App.
So you had $400 in cash that you handed her?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of cash?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you come upon that much cash?
I was working at one time, and then I got a pretty good amount in financial aid. They had a program at one time where they were giving, it looks like they were depositing money into my account maybe every week. I had signed up for some, what is it? It's almost like,
so you went and withdrew giant sums of cash from your account?
well, it wasn't 400 every time. It was just as needed. Like she might call and said he needed some diapers. He might need just different things. Whatever she asked for, what he needed, that's what I gave her.
Ma'am, do you ever remember getting large sums of cash?
No, ma'am, I never received cash, only direct payments on Cash App. And again, I have the timestamp and date for those.
Okay, I'm going to approve. I'm going to rule. I'm going to continue the joint managing conservatorship as written in the temporary order. I'm going to change the geographic restriction to the state of Texas or the state of Arizona. I'm going to approve the possession and access and order it per the temporary orders, including the pickup and drop off at Target. I'll approve your agreement to keep the non-disclosure regarding Ms. Holt's information. I'm going to add that you all communicate through the app close, so you that have some way to communicate with each other about your child.
What's the app called again?
App close, it will be in the proposed order that the agency will send to you.
Okay.
I'm going to approve and order child support of $325 a month beginning November 1st of 2023. And I'll approve and order the medical support of $57 a month beginning November 1st of 2023. And I'm going to order back child support in the amount of $5,000. I'm going to find that Mr. Sherman is in arrears $835.60. Well, can I see the pay record again?
And here, I can show you the date. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Can you roll down again, please? I'm not good at memorizing numbers that are bigger than one digit.
This is, yes, yes.
So I'm going to find he's in arrears $886.79 as of October 11th of 2023. And so I'm going to take a cumulative judgment against Mr. Sherman in the amount of $5,886.79. And I'm ordering that he pay that back at a rate of $50 a month beginning November 1st of 2023. And finding that Mr. Sherman owes medical arrears of $403.29 as of October 11th, 2023. And I'm ordering he pay that back at a rate of $5 a month beginning November 1st of 2023. And I'm ordering that Mr. Sherman pay court costs on or before June 30th of 2024. The Attorney General's office is going to draft an order based on my ruling today, and they'll be sending it to you guys through DocuSign to review and sign off on. And you'll go back to the breakout room so you'll be able to review, sign off, and ask any questions that you may have to them in private. Okay. So thank you both for coming in, and good luck with everything going forward.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Ms. Holt, Mr. Sherman, if y'all will return to your breakout rooms, I'm going to draft this order based on the judge's ruling that she just gave us, and I'll follow up with you in a few minutes.